All right, let's talk about The Deer Hunter, another war movie.
Another war movie. Do you want to explain it or do you want me to?
I'll explain it, I guess, because you got 1917. So, The Deer Hunter is a movie. Let me pull this up. The Deer Hunter is a 1978 epic war drama co-written and directed by Michael Cimino. Not Camino, Cimino. Doesn't matter. He's a guy, and he directed
It's
The
a
Deer
name.
Hunter.
Michael. Let's call him Mike.
Mike. Mikey directed this movie. It's about a group of friends in mining country, Pennsylvania, who a few of them are shipped off to the Vietnam War and the effects that has on them. Chandler, what did you think of the 3 hour and 4 minute long Deer Hunter?
Sir.
Sir.
Sir. Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie.
Zdrowie.
I think this was a good 3-hour movie that could have been a great 2.5-hour movie.
Yes. Great conversation. That's it. Bye.
Well, okay, if you want me to get more in depth, I don't know. I felt like it really takes its time. And I can't say I was ever, I was ever bored by it because I think it's a very well shot movie. But I think it takes its time in the wrong places. It's a very long movie with a lot of just shots and scenes of people doing things, but not really saying things. Whereas by the third act of this movie, when, we're all supposed to see all these characters, specifically Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken, how the war has affected them, I get a feeling that there's a lot of inferring about characters we don't really know all that well.
Yeah, so my general thoughts on The Deer Hunter is that I didn't enjoy it all that much. It was a good movie, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I felt a bit more extreme from you that the opening act of the film in Pennsylvania was overly long and almost a complete waste compared to what came after it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like literally an hour before they get to Vietnam. It's a lot of dancing, a lot of weddings, the first hour of this movie, everybody is drunk.
I don't like them. Okay, so there are 3 main characters in this. There's Nick, there's Michael, and
Lieutenant Dan.
And yes. And I felt that the movie would have benefited exponentially if it had focused far more time on those 3 and had their other friends just be just on the outside of the circle instead of.
Yeah, because, we get a good amount of time with Meryl Streep, which I feel like we do kind of need that.
Yes, but I'm talking about the 2 or 3 other guy friends they have.
Yeah, the bald guy with the gun from Dog Day Afternoon and The Godfather.
Yeah, Jim. No, it's not Jim Caviezel. What am I saying? It's John Cazale. John Cazale.
Yes, John Cazale.
In his final role.
That was his final role?
Yep.
I know he died pretty early.
Fun fact, he only made 5 movies, and every one of them was either nominated or awarded Best Picture.
Yeah, I remember from The Godfather and Dog Day Afternoon. I don't know what else he's in. But I love him in Dog Day Afternoon.
The Conversation. He's in Godfather Part 2. Oh. And yes, I don't know it yet. Anyway, but his character felt superfluous, particularly near the end. I don't know. A lot of it, for me, I think my biggest issue with the film is that it really needed a better editor to tell Michael Cimino that some of this, they would cut to shots that were not necessary or not developing the story in any way. And it was particularly egregious during the wedding party sequence, when they would just cut back and forth between different shots of people dancing and doing things. And
I
always was asking myself
so much
that, what is this adding to the movie? And the answer was nothing. And it really frustrated me.
I will say this: the structure of the movie, I do enjoy how, it's not like a typical war movie where we have the happy-go-lucky small town lads. We see the boot camp, we see them break, we see them enter Vietnam. I love how we cut from like the wedding to like the middle of a battlefield, but you don't need an hour to do that. Do you know the story behind the movie he made after this?
No. What? Which one was that? Is that Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate, yeah.
Yeah. Well, do we have time to get into that? I feel like that's another.
That is like a whole other episode, but I feel like a lot of the issues with Heaven's Gate are issues that the editor tried his best to prevent in The Deer Hunter. And you can kind of see where this director's weaknesses lie early on, but I still think overall it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I'm a little harsh on it. I think it was.
Also, our lag is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Chandler, I'm going to hang up on you and then give you a call back and just see if that helps.
Okay. Should I keep recording? Is it helping?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't think it helped. You took like 2 seconds to respond to that, so I don't know.
Well, let's continue and make the best of it as we can. I must be going soon anyway, so it felt to me what director Mikey was doing was he was going for more of a drama that was based around the trials and tribulations of the Vietnam War, but it also felt that the Vietnam War that we got was too sensationalized almost. I don't know, because it is a well-known fact that the Russian roulette stuff is completely made up, and I feel the movie would have a much better impact if the scenes of the Vietnam War were more grounded in a reality, but I'm not sure if the filmmaking, if that was even possible when The Deer Hunter was made. I don't think that the realities of the Vietnam War could have been depicted on screen in any truthful way back then.
Was this before or after Apocalypse Now?
I don't know, but Apocalypse Now, there's a bit of a distance. That's more of a kind of a psychedelic trip through Vietnam. So it's removed, but it captures the feeling of Vietnam. This feels less like it's removed and more removed in the sense that it's just not accurately. It felt like it's using the Vietnam War as a narrative device rather than doing it justice in a ethical way.
That's the thing that's the thing I don't understand is because I feel like this movie up until like the last 10 or 20 minutes was really anti-war, but then it ends with them singing the national anthem or whatever the song is. That I hated that. I hated that.
Also, I wrote down minus 10 points immediately for freeze frame credits that look like it's out of Too Many Cooks.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's where I stopped.
Well, good. I shouldn't have watched it through.
I mean, this is kind of a mess, the whole thing.
It is. But here, I'll say some good things about it. It's really well acted. Robert De Niro gives a hell of a performance. Meryl Streep, in I think her first Oscar-nominated performance.
It was.
A start of a long career of Oscar nominations. Great performances all around. And it was interesting. It was a good movie. I just felt that it was really brought down by the fact that the opening hour didn't really endear me to any of the characters, and therefore the rest of the film, which I thought was a lot more engaging, the last two sections, not perfect and still had their issues, but they were more engaging. It didn't work because it wasn't set up well for me.
Yeah. I will say this. I do think that Christopher Walken deserved that Oscar. I think he was fantastic in this movie. And I do think that the Russian roulette scenes I thought were tense at times. I will say this, a little bit of maybe this is just not as obvious to the people who don't know a little bit more about the filmmaking process, but when I saw Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken sit down, I thought, oh, I'm pretty sure the guy with the bandana has the squib on his head and he will die. And yeah, well, that's what happened. Yeah, I don't know. It was so anti-war, and then it was pro-America. Yeah.
If I were to explain it with one sequence, remember when they're driving to the hunting and they ditch the one guy on the side of the road, and they just keep ditching him. And I'm like, none of this is necessary for the movie.
That whole scene takes like 2 minutes. That was the first time in the movie. I mean, I've thought about it back in my head a bunch of times. That's the first time where I literally said to the movie, "What are you doing? We don't need to see this. Cut out that fucking A guy entirely."
The optimal length. You have to, if you're going to be a 3-hour movie, you have to really justify it. And I think if you don't justify it,
And this is coming from the man who loves the 4-hour movies.
Yeah, good ones. Ones that they don't even have to be good. They have to justify being that long. Right? Like, I think An Elephant Sitting Still, which is a 4-hour movie, has its problems, but it justifies its length. I don't think The Deer Hunter justifies it. I think, like you said, a 2-hour, 20-minute, 2-hour, it just needed to be shorter. And I think it would have been more impactful. And I think that the first act really just didn't work for me. It didn't hook me. And part of that was that I didn't get a hold on the characters. I didn't see why, like, it's set in this Pennsylvania industrial town, and yet that seems almost inconsequential to anything. I don't know. And then there's the abusive father of Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
And that's just one scene and then kind of done.
Okay. Yeah.
There's just so much that...
The first hour of this movie was so focused on setting up the world for some reason. And then they go to Vietnam. And then the last third of this movie is about the characters that weren't established because you were too busy filming a fucking wedding for 30 minutes.
Yep. It does. I don't think it deserves to be on the BFI list. And I'm sorry to the people who love this movie.
I don't think so either. I think this whole movie is just a Travis Bickle origin story. And the prequels are never as good.
Just immediately cut.
There's so many better Vietnam War movies that can go on here.
Yeah. Just cut from the end of the second part of the movie to Taxi Driver. He comes home and moves to New York and then becomes... Oh, also, Robert De Niro's facial hair. His facial hair was a mistake.
It looked so bad. The whole time. Oh, it looks so bad. Oh my god. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, all terrible. Right. Absolutely terrible.
Any final thoughts? I'm done.